Only 1% will experience this divine revelation. 7 days to answered prayer and supernatural healing. In the little town of Harlington, whispers drifted through the air about a miraculous event. For 7 days, a faithful widow named Mary sought the attention of heaven, praying fervently for her gravely ill son, Jacob. Her prayers echoed against the chapel's stone walls, each plea soaring upwards like a soft flame flickering in the dark. On the outside, she appeared composed. Within her heart, however, hope battled against despair. The church, a modest structure with an ancient bell that rang with warmth, formed the center of Mary's life. Shadows danced in the flickering candlelight as she bowed her head during services. While others offered their sympathy, Mary felt an unshakable calling to embark on a spiritual journey, convinced of the miraculous healing that awaited her. The fervor of her faith ignited imaginations, ignited souls, and on that first night, a gentle breeze passed through the chapel, wrapping the congregation in warmth. Whispers of hymns filled the air, and the scent of incense intertwined with fresh earth, a divine invitation indeed. But skepticism lurked. Friends pulled her aside, their brows knit with worry. "Mary, dear," they urged gently, "the doctors know best. Trust the medicine." The contradiction of faith and science twisted in her chest, a dance of doubt that sent chills down her spine. But she pressed on, her heart beating in sync with St. Jude's anthem for impossible cases. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the days unfurled, Mary clung to prayer like a lifeline. Voices merged into a beautiful chorus, the townsfolk rallying around her, binding their hopes in a tapestry of faith. Then one evening, a mysterious stranger arrived. A soft-spoken figure, wrapped in a tattered cloak, confidently stepped into the chapel, radiating an almost celestial aura. "The miracle you seek is not far," he assured, his eyes shimmering with untold stories. With each reassuring word, the hearts of the congregation quickened, igniting them with fervor and anticipation. The stranger spoke words that were more than mere whispers, they were echoes of divine promise. Who was he? The townspeople couldn't discern, but the faith sparked within them was undeniably potent. It wasn't just Mary's journey anymore, it was the community's, galvanized into collective prayer as they knelt together under the vast heavens. Each night drew closer to the seventh and final day, where they dared to dream of what could be. Murmurs filled the chapel, trembling with hope, every mouth synchronizing in a single prayer for Jacob. The night air thickened ironically with the scent of blooming lilacs and burning candles. On the eve of the seventh day, they gathered, their hearts full. As darkness fell, a hushed silence washed over them. The very walls seemed to vibrate with expectancy. Would this night transform their faith into a palpable reality? As Mary raised her voice, her tears flowed freely, mingling with the countless prayers drifting upward like incense. Each heartfelt word found its way to the heavens, colliding with the celestial. As dawn approached, the skies seemed to shimmer with gentle light, a premonition of the divine. Hearts thudded loudly, a single question echoed in risk-laden silence: could they really witness what only 1% experience? The miracle was closer than they might have imagined, ready to awaken in the hearts of those bold enough to believe. As the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, a hush fell over the chapel, each flicker of the candles casting delicate shadows on the stone walls. Mary could feel the warmth of the sun begin to pour in, mingling with the lingering breaths of prayer that filled the air. Hope danced in the hearts of those gathered, every flicker, every whisper, a testament to their unwavering faith. Emerging from the crowd, Mary stepped toward the altar, heart racing and anticipation coursing through her veins. The mysterious stranger stood to one side, his cloak pooling like shadows at his feet, his presence both calming and magnetic. He seemed to know the weight of the moment, gazing at Mary with eyes that sparkled like the morning dew. "Today is different," he said softly, the vibration of his voice wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. "God sees your struggle, and it is time for your unwavering faith to be rewarded." Mary's breath hitched. Could this truly be the moment they had all been waiting for? Her fingers trembled as she clasped them together in earnest prayer, a whispered plea escaping her lips. "Lord, grant us a miracle." The stranger raised his hands, fingers point towards the heavens, as the congregation followed suit, hope radiating like electricity through the air. As the community prayed, the atmosphere shifted, a whisper of wind wove through the chapel, lifting the heavy weight of doubt and scattering it like dust. "Believe," he urged, his voice growing stronger. "You are surrounded not just by people but by the angels of heaven who are ready to act upon your faith." With each word, Mary's heart swelled, igniting a fierce flame of belief within her. She could feel the pulse of their collective faith, a rolling wave crashing against the shore of desolation. The hymn that rose, sung with fervor and heart, seemed almost otherworldly, a choir echoing throughout creation. As they softly sang, Mary gazed toward the stained glass windows, sunlight streaming through and painting the chapel in brilliant hues. It felt as if heaven itself was reaching down, brushing against their souls, imbibing them with divine strength. Then, without warning, a gasp rippled through the crowd. Isabella, the town's beloved elder, clutched her chest and looked up, her voice breaking through the melody. "Something is happening." Her words stopped the prayers mid-verse, hearts pausing, breaths held. A palpable energy surged within the chapel, echoing off the walls in vibrant waves. Mary turned, expectant eyes searching, as the lights within the stained glass shimmered even brighter. Suddenly, Jacob's name spilled from her lips, an electric pulse of longing and love, urging the heavens to open. The stranger stepped forward, placing a gentle hand over her heart. "Your son is more than a boy, he is a promise of God. Do not waver, for the foundation of your belief has the power to reach him." Together, the crowd lifted their voices once more, but this time, it was with a new urgency, a prayer that rose like a tempest, raw and unfiltered. "Jacob, be healed." They called, resounding through the heavens with the weight of hope. Tears streamed down Mary's face, overflowing with a cocktail of emotion, gratitude mingled with expectancy. For the first time, she dared to believe that indeed, the miracle was nearing. Yet, as the prayers filled the space, anticipation hung heavy in the silence that followed. Was this the moment of their divine intervention? Would they finally witness what only 1% experienced? The answer hung in the air, as enigmatic and thrilling as the unfolding dawn, and in that moment, just as they hesitated to breathe, a distant sound echoed from the chapel doors, a knock that seemed to pulse like the heartbeat of the universe. What awaited them beyond the entrance? Would it carry the promise of renewal, or a different kind of revelation altogether? The air was thick with a blend of anticipation and reverent stillness as the congregation turned toward the chapel doors. The knock, soft yet insistent, reverberated in their hearts, like a call to the very essence of their faith. Each face reflected a mix of curiosity and hope. Mary's heart raced, throbbing as if in communion with the pulse of God's promise. Who could that be? Someone whispered from the back. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, each soul wondering if this was part of the miracle expected that day. The stranger remained steady, his gaze fixed on the door, as though he could see beyond the wooden framework and into the realm where hopes and fears collided. There was an energy about him, a quiet confidence that promised their prayers were being heard. "Open it," the stranger said simply, his voice a gentle yet firm command, urging action. Mary hesitated, her feet feeling like lead. What if they opened the door only to find disappointment lurking on the other side? But then, she felt the warmth radiating from the stranger's presence, a whispering assurance that God was in control. With renewed resolve, she stepped forward, the congregation parting to allow her passage. As she reached the door, a collective exhale echoed through the chapel. With trembling hands, she turned the knob and pulled open the door. Sunlight burst into the dimly lit space, casting long shadows behind her. In the threshold stood a figure, silhouetted against the brilliance of the morning light. For a moment, Mary could only make out the outline, a woman, clutching a bundle to her chest. The community strained to see who it was, a sudden wave of silence enveloping them all. Then the woman stepped forward, revealing a face lined with the traces of worry and determination. "I'm here for Jacob," she said, her voice steady, strong despite the quiver in her tone. "I was told there was prayer." Mary's heart leapt, a rush of emotion overwhelmed her. This stranger, a mother too, was drawn by faith to her son's need. A flicker of hope ignited within the chapel, a spark that mirrored the love of every parent for their child. "Come in please," Mary urged, her hands gesturing the woman closer. The chapel welcomed her like an embrace. As the woman stepped inside, the stranger raised his hands once more, and a hush of expectation filled the room. "Tell us your story," he said, inviting her to share. Tears glistened in the woman's eyes. "My daughter Sophia," she began, her voice cracking. "She was born with a condition that leaves her fighting for every breath. I have come in search of healing. When I heard of this gathering, I felt God pulling me here." Mary couldn't help but think of Jacob. Their situations intertwined like threads in a tapestry of faith, each seeking divine intervention. The congregation held their breath, their hearts united in this shared moment of need. "Sister, we will pray for Sophia," Mary said fervently, reaching out to clasp the woman's trembling hands. "We believe in the power of this gathering, in the promise of healing." The stranger stepped closer, his voice resonating through her. "Your faith, like Mary's here, holds the power to change destinies. Together, we can anchor our prayers in the promise of God's love." With that proclamation, the air around them crackled with energy, a divine electricity promising that their pleas could touch heaven itself. As the community began to pray, lifting up both Jacob and Sophia in a chorus of cries for healing, something extraordinary happened. The candles flickered violently, and the stained glass shone brighter still, casting vibrant, warm light throughout the chapel. And just as hope filled the room to overflowing, the sound of another knock echoed softly from the chapel doors. What further mysteries did God have in store for them? Could these unanswered questions lead to an even deeper revelation beyond what they dared to hope for? The church held its breath, every eye fixed on the doors as the knock lingered, a gentle rhythm of anticipation. Mary felt a surge of energy, something ethereal hummed in the air, and she sensed that this moment was not merely a coincidence. It was a divine thread weaving through their lives, pulling them closer to a miraculous encounter. "Who is it now?" a voice whispered, almost trembling with eagerness. The stranger turned slightly, his expression unreadable, a blend of assurance and passion. "Sometimes the greatest revelations come when we least expect them," he encouraged, his calmness washing over the congregation like a wave of peace. Mary, still holding the mother's hands, turned back to the door. The warmth of the sunlight bathed her, illuminating the faint worry lines etched on her forehead. What lay beyond those doors? She took a deep, steadying breath. With resolve, she walked towards it again. This time, she felt the weight of the community behind her, their hearts beating as one. The stranger stepped back, allowing Mary to take the lead. With a steady hand, she grasped the knob and opened the door wide. The light flooded in, revealing a young boy who stood on the threshold, dirt-smudged and weary, but his eyes sparkled with an innocence that struck a chord within Mary. "I heard you were praying," he began, his voice wavering but hopeful. "My name is Simon. I need your help." Gasps erupted from the congregation. The stories of need were growing, intertwining like vines upon a trellis of faith. Simon looked around, his gaze meeting each person's as if searching for assurance. "Tell us, Simon," the stranger urged gently, creating a sanctuary of attention around the boy. "What brings you here?" Simon hesitated just a moment, almost as if weighing the gravity of his words. "My sister, Lily, is sick. I heard prayers can make miracles happen, that God can heal. As he spoke, the room pulsed with shared pain and yearning. Each heart echoed his plea. Mary felt a warmth rise in her chest, her maternal instincts reaching out toward this young boy in need. "We will pray for her, Simon," she promised, stepping closer to him. "Tell us what she is suffering from." "She can't walk," he said, eyes downcast. "And she believes if we ask God, He can make her better." Simon's words locked on Mary's heart like an arrow, piercing her soul with a mixture of sorrow and strength. Every mother's love was wrapped in that wish. She whispered a silent prayer, imploring the Spirit for guidance and inspiration. In that moment, the doors swung wider, revealing even more faces, all seekers of solace and healing. A ragged group formed at the threshold, each bearing stories like burdens, each heart crying out for divine intervention. The stranger stepped into the circle, his presence rich with authority and grace. "We are not just a congregation, we are a family united in the pursuit of hope," he proclaimed. "God has brought you here this day for a reason. Open your hearts to the possibilities." Mary looked at the gathering, the energy of their faith igniting like a flame on a still night. As they began to join in prayer once more, the room began to shimmer with an otherworldly presence. She felt the weight of worries lift, replaced by a tingling assurance that God was listening. And just as they united their voices, the air shifted. A gust enveloped the chapel, unifying their spirits, amplifying their prayers into a powerful song directed straight to heaven. But the strange knock resounded again, more insistent this time, drawing everyone's gaze back to the entrance. What awaited them now? What miracles could unfold in the wake of their collective faith? Just beyond the door, unseen shadows whispered of hope and transformation. As the knock echoed through the chapel with fervor, the air thickened with expectation. Mary felt the heartbeats of her brothers and sisters surround her like a warm blanket. Their collective hope hung in the air, filling every corner of the sacred space. The stranger turned and fixed his gaze on Mary. "What do we do?" he asked, the urgency palpable. "Let us see who it is," she replied, her voice steady yet filled with anticipation. Pushing through the gathered crowd, she made her way once more to the door. Her fingers trembled as they brushed the knob. With a deep breath of courage, she flung the door open. This time, the sunlight spilled in with glorious brightness, revealing an elderly woman standing there. Her face was lined with years and wisdom, and though she appeared frail, her eyes shone with an undeniable spark of strength. "I'm here for the prayers," she said, her voice like a whisper on a breeze, yet firm and resonant with faith. "My name is Ethel. I've come seeking healing for my son." Mary's heart surged with compassion. "What a blessing you are to us, Ethel," she responded warmly. "Tell us about your son." Ethel stepped forward, her hands clasped tightly over her heart. "He was in a terrible accident. They say he may never walk again. I've heard tell of the miracles that happen here. I believe in the power of prayer." The congregation leaned closer, their faces painted with empathy and love. Mary, feeling the click of purpose within their souls, interjected with fervor, "Together, we will lift him up in prayer. God hears us." As Mary's words flew, a gentle energy seemed to sweep through the air. One by one, the faces around her adopted expressions of profound hope. They began to circle around Ethel, reaching out their hands as if forming a bridge of faith toward heaven. "Let us join our voices in unity," the stranger spoke, his tone imbued with authority. "In this very moment, we are channels of God's love and healing." With bowed heads, they began to pray, their voices intertwining like a heavenly chorus. The walls of the chapel felt alive, vibrating with the passion of their faith. Mary could feel a warmth radiating from her heart outwards, wrapping around Ethel and spreading through the congregation as they sought divine intervention. Then, suddenly, the once gentle knock transformed into a thunderous pounding against the door. It startled everyone, fraying the fragile threads of silence, but Mary's resolve did not waver. "Continue praying," she urged, focused and unwavering. As if in response to their pleas, the air pulsed with a heightened energy, shimmering brightly around them. A subtle glow began to seep from the edges of the doorway. It illuminated the anxious faces, casting a holy light over the gathering. "Do not be afraid," the stranger reminded them, his presence steady amid the chaos. "God is manifesting in ways yet unseen." But even as they prayed, a surge of uncertainty grasped Mary's heart. Who could be behind that door? What message or miracle did God wish to unveil right at this moment? As the congregation continued their prayers with gusto, she took a step forward, her heart pounding. In the stillness that momentarily followed, a hush fell over the room. "Now we must be ready," the stranger whispered knowingly, "for what awaits us could change everything." Yet as they waited, another echo surged through the air, capturing everyone's breath, and a voice, powerful and resonant, cried out from the entrance, "I demand to be let in." What truth lay behind these words? What divine revelation awaited them? The words hung in the air, heavy with authority. Mary felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The congregation, still holding their breath, exchanged glances that spoke volumes of uncertainty mingled with eagerness. The chapel, once filled with fervent prayers, suddenly felt like a chamber of hushed anticipation. With a greater resolve, Mary faced the door again. "Who calls for our attention?" she boldly inquired, her voice steady yet underlined with tremors of uncertainty. "I am here for the lost." The voice boomed, reverberating in the sacred space. "I demand entrance to challenge your faith and the very destiny you hold dear." A ripple of fear raced through the crowd, yet there was also a flicker of intrigue in their eyes. The stranger stepped forward, his presence reassuring as he gestured for calm. "This is not an ordinary visitor, my friends. Let us approach this moment with prayer. Strengthen your hearts in faith. God is at work." The congregation resumed its petition, voices rising once more as the energy deepened. Mary felt drawn to that voice. A mixture of challenge and urgency echoed in her spirit. The warmth that had enveloped them began to pulse brighter, wrapping around her like a protective cocoon. "Ethel," Mary said gently, pulling the elderly woman closer. "Your faith is a beacon. Let us share that light with this stranger. Let us pray for clarity and strength." Ethel nodded, her frail form vibrating with an energy Mary had never seen in her before. "God will not abandon us. We must remain steadfast," she whispered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. As the voices hit a crescendo, something extraordinary began to happen. The air thickened, shimmering with an almost palpable presence. Mary thought she could see shapes shifting at the edges of her vision, glimmers of light that danced playfully around the room. A song of joy surged through her heart. "Lord, we invite your will. Open the door to your truth," she cried with renewed fervor. Suddenly, with a jolt, the door swung open. Instead of the anticipated intruder, a figure cloaked in golden light entered, illuminating the chapel as bright as the sun. The congregation gasped, their stunned expressions mixed with wonder, awe, and an undeniable sense of divine. "Who are you?" Mary breathed, a mixture of fear and faith swirling within her. "I am the manifestation of your prayers, I am the light you seek," the radiant figure replied, its voice enveloped them like a warm breeze on a summer's day. "Many approach God for comfort, for peace, for healing. Few are ready to accept challenges that faith brings, yet growth often lies in those very moments of trial." Mary's heart fluttered. The presence was overwhelming, a mix of peace and power radiating from the figure, dousing every ounce of doubt. "Your prayers for Ethel's son have been heard," it continued, eyes piercing into Mary's soul. "But now, you must decide. Will you welcome the storm that reveals truth and transformation? Faith requires more than just believing, it requires action and vulnerability." As the congregation shifted, faces softened into expressions of hope mingled with trepidation, they clung to one another. They had come believing in healing, yet now they faced an invitation to engage with the divine in a way they had never anticipated. "Will you answer?" The figure challenged, a smile breaking through the radiant glow. "Will you step into the unknown?" And as the light filled the room, the congregation found themselves at a crossroads, their hearts brimming with faith yet pierced by fear. The choice lay before them, shimmering in the divine presence, to take the leap or to retreat. Mary closed her eyes, whispering a silent prayer, "What truth do you wish to unveil, Lord? We are ready, or are we?" As the questions echoed in her heart, a tense silence fell once more. What divine unveiling awaited them in this encounter? What truths would be revealed? The golden figure lingered in the stillness, its light reflecting off the walls like ripples on a tranquil lake. The air vibrated with possibilities, as if the universe itself held its breath, waiting for their response. "Feel the weight of your decision," the radiant presence urged, the voice wrapped in kindness yet firm, like a gentle teacher guiding a student through a difficult passage. "In your hearts lie the seeds of courage. Will you nurture them or let them wither?" Mary swallowed hard, her heart racing. The weight of their collective uncertainty pressed down on her, but within that weight was something else, a flicker of faith igniting her spirit. She turned to Ethel, whose eyes, though clouded with age, sparkled with wisdom. "Ethel, you've faced trials that could scare anyone. How do you keep your light shining?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper, though it carried the weight of a roomful of yearning hearts. Ethel smiled softly, her wrinkled hands clasping Mary's. "It's in the knowing that we are never alone, my dear. Even when shadows loom, God is there, walking beside us. Every trial is a step deeper into His love." The congregation stirred, each person lost in their thoughts, processing the challenge laid before them. Would they stand up and embrace the unfolding of a higher purpose, or would they retreat into the comfort of their known lives? "I have felt His presence," one young man stood and declared, his voice quivering with conviction. "In my darkest moments, I've experienced a peace I can't explain. I'm willing to face the storm." A wave of murmured agreement rolled through the congregation. It was as if a spark had been ignited, empowering people to rise with newfound determination. One by one, others began to share their own encounters with divine guidance, stories of healing and unanswered prayers that led them to this sacred moment. "God gave me strength when my health failing," a woman added, tears streaming down her cheeks, "and if I must endure another challenge, I will, for I trust in His plan." Mary looked at the glowing figure, anchoring her belief in its light. "We are ready. We will step into the unknown." Her voice rang out, strong and unwavering. "Boldness begets blessings," the figure said, nodding with approval. "So many hold back from the wondrous waves of grace that can sweep over them. It is only through trial and trust that true transformation is birthed." As the warmth of the figure enveloped them, a sensation of soaring began to fill the chapel. It was as if the very air were infused with divine energy, urging them to take that leap of faith. "Look deeper, what else may you see?" The figure encouraged as it pushed the limits of their understanding, revealing glimmers of possibility in the personal struggles they each faced. Mary felt an electric thrill rush through her veins. What did this mean for their lives? What was at stake? She gazed around, meeting the eyes of her fellow conferers. She could see the flickers of courage blossoming within them, fueled by shared faith and collective resolve. Yet an unsettling truth lingered: they had embraced the challenge, but where would it lead? "Lord," she whispered again, "show us the next step. What divine adventure awaits us?" Outside the chapel, a storm began to brew. Dark clouds gathered, rumbling ominously. It echoed the turmoil within, an invitation to brace themselves, but also a herald of something new and profound. The figure stood at the edge of their choice, shining brighter against the encroaching darkness. As the winds outside howled, Mary felt a rush of clarity. If we persist in faith, are we ready for what is to come? Can we arise transformed, even when the rains begin to fall? As raindrops danced on the roofs, the congregation stood, a tapestry of hearts woven together by hope and determination. Each face mirrored the same question: what awaited them in the storm, and how would it change their faith forever? The storm outside raged fiercely, thunder crashing like a battle cry from the heavens. Yet within the chapel, a distinct calm emerged, cradled by the golden figure's unwavering light. Mary could sense the tension transforming into anticipation, hope mingling with the thrill of the unknown. She focused on the vibrant energy that filled the room like a powerful river ready to burst forth, ready to reshape everything in its path. "Do not fear," the radiant presence reassured them, its voice resonating with a warmth that seeped into their very souls. "Every storm brings the promise of renewal. Prepare yourselves, for the journey ahead will demand not just courage, but also a heart open to the unforeseen." Mary looked around at the faces, lit up with expressions ranging from fear to fierce determination. Each heart inched closer to the divine door that awaited them. She could feel an essential truth within her: sometimes, falling into the unknown with faith is the only path to growth. "Then let us embrace this," a brave elder named Thomas declared, stepping forward. "With each tempest, there lies a hidden treasure. I am ready to find what God has for us even in the storm." His words seemed to unlock a door that had been waiting to be opened. One by one, hands were raised, voices began to rise in a spontaneous outpouring of faith, and the pulse of collective prayers began to weave through the air a melody of hearts yearning for connection and guidance. "I trust Him to sustain us," a young mother chimed in, clutching her child. "Through the shaking and the noise, may His peace guard our hearts." The room grew electric with energy, every declaration was like a thread binding them closer together. As they spoke, the golden figure appeared to shift, intensifying in brilliance, its glow illuminating not just the chapel, but also the deep recesses of their spirits. "In your unity lies strength," it proclaimed, gently nudging them toward deeper revelations. "Each of you holds a unique gift within, a light that will shine more brilliantly when woven together. Seek out your purpose amidst the storm." Mary clenched her fists, filled with determination. Could they truly be more than individuals? Could they unite under a divine call? Let us not only seek the light for ourselves. Let us chase it for one another. She urged passionately. A powerful murmur echoed through the congregation, growing louder, rising like a fervent prayer reaching toward heaven. They could sense a change beginning, as if the very air of possibility thickened with divine assurance. Suddenly, the golden figure swept forward, its presence manifesting an overwhelming peace. "Yes. Let your hearts beat as one. Speak your desires, your hopes. In this vulnerability, healing shall flourish. Do not be afraid to ask great things of God." At this moment, the winds howled outside, tossing rain against the chapel walls, yet inside the room, they felt an unshakable calm, the promise of answered prayers imminent. Each member of the congregation began to share their heart's deepest longings, their supplications mingling together, creating a tapestry of faith. Mary felt the swell of love flood around her, gathering their words like a sacred offering. With each intention released into the universe, the distance between them and their transformative truth grew shorter. And yet, as the storm raged on, a question lingered heavy in the atmosphere: what awaited them once they opened their hearts? What miracles were just beyond their grasp, ready to be revealed? As she peered ahead, a spark ignited within her, a yearning to uncover the wonders lying just beyond the tumultuous horizon. What if the storm is only the beginning? She pondered aloud, igniting a collective spark in the room. What if there's more waiting for us on the other side? The atmosphere crackled with divine expectation, and the chapel held its breath in possibilities just waiting to unfold. As the thunder roared outside, shaking the very foundation of the chapel, Mary felt an electric charge in the air, a divine invitation to explore the depths of their faith. The golden figure pulsated with brilliance, a beacon of hope that illuminated the shadows of doubt lingering in their hearts. "Close your eyes, dear ones," the radiant presence instructed gently. "Breathe deeply. Picture your hopes like seeds waiting to sprout. Let the winds of this storm carry your desires unto the heavens." Mary obeyed, drawing in air rich with the fragrance of wood and candle wax. With each breath, she envisioned the whispered prayers and heart's yearnings rising up, like smoke spiraling into the sky. What treasures lay hidden beyond the storm? What awaited them, just out of reach? Around her, others joined in this sacred moment of visualization. She could hear sniffles, soft gasps, and the rustle of their anticipation filling the sacred space. Each individual engaged in their own holy dialogue, communicating directly with the divine. It was a communion of souls, unified by the spirit of expectation. Remember this, the golden figure resonated, its voice strong and yet soothing. Miracles take different shapes. They may not look like what you hope for, but trust that every request laid before God is heard and answered in His perfect timing. Mary's heart fluttered with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. What if she didn't recognize the answer? What if their prayers led them in a direction they had never anticipated? Yet, faith rose in her heart, forging strength from the uncertainty. "I will trust Him," she whispered under her breath, feeling the weight of her faith anchor her resolve. "Let me share a secret with you," the presence continued, lowering its voice as if initiating an intimate conversation. "Sometimes the storm itself becomes a gift, a way to teach, to enliven, to awaken dormant parts within your spirit. Take heart in the chaos, for within it lies the wisdom you seek." The words wrapped around Mary like a warm shawl. Could the journey itself become more significant than the destination? Would their struggles craft a narrative worthy of God's glory? Yes, she sensed it deeply within. The storm was not just external. It was gathering strength within them all, calling forth hidden courage. An elder from the back, a figure often quiet, now spoke out. "What if we danced in the rain of this storm?" His voice echoed as if stirring something profound within the room. "What if we rejoiced in every drop that falls? Are we not worthy of celebration, even amidst uncertainty?" A ripple of agreement surged through the congregation. The golden figure smiled, and Mary felt the hair on her arms stand on end. "Oh, beloved ones, the dance of faith is one of great joy. You are in a moment that transcends your current circumstances. Embrace it." At that moment, the winds howled louder, but within the chapel, hearts were swaying, hands raised. Mary began to sway along, feeling the rhythm of the storm. People were laughing, tears mingling joyfully with raindrops, creating a sacred symphony of surrender. "Let us not wait for calm to find our joy," Mary encouraged, her spirit liberated by the energy swirling around them. "Let us be bold in our praise. For every storm shall pass, but the memories we create together will last." With this, the energy in the chapel reached a fever pitch, the room alive with collective faith and fervent hope. They were becoming one, a community tethered to something far greater than themselves. And then, in that electrifying moment, a sound echoed from the roof, something breaking free. Thunder, or perhaps the very chains of restraint, shattered, releasing a wave of clarity. What was truly on the other side of this storm? Would they rise not only as individuals transformed but also as a collective, walking confidently through the light that awaited? As the echoes of their exuberance hung in the air, another question emerged: what would they discover if they ventured forth, hand in hand, into the wild unknown together? With a surge of collective faith that wrapped around them like a holy embrace, Mary and the entire congregation of Harlington found themselves swept away by the light of the golden figure. The air hummed vibrantly with anticipation, and in unison, each heart reverberated with the sound of a divine promise. "You are right where you need to be," the golden figure declared, its voice melodious and profound. "Now is the time to breathe in the truth of your unity, to know that every prayer expressed tonight shall yield its harvest. Are you ready to embrace what lies ahead?" Mary, filled with a swirling mix of trepidation and excitement, felt a swell of emotion flood her chest. "Yes." She called out fervently, her voice igniting the passion within others. "We are ready." The strangers who had come seeking healing, those sitting quietly in longing, and the lifelong members of the community all gathered in a bond of shared hope. Each face, illuminated by the golden glow, revealed glimmers of resolve. Fears began to dissolve like mist before morning sun. As one, they prayed, more voices rising into a harmonious melody that transcended doubt. Lord, prepare us for the unseen. We welcome your wisdom, your courage, your light. As they prayed with renewed strength, the storm outside crashed against the walls, but within the chapel, their faith built an impenetrable fortress. It was a symphony of shared stories, interweaved hopes, and steadfast belief, a kaleidoscope of their spirits vibrating in resonance with heavenly grace. Each of you carries a piece of this miracle, the figure encouraged spirits. But it is together that your prayers will move mountains. Be ready to step forth into the unknown. With that, a rush of energy swept through the room, intertwining their hearts, as Mary could feel the pulse of shared determination growing ever strong. Let us step into the rain, she declared with fervor. Let us dance in our hope and let it manifest into healing and clarity. This storm is not merely wind and water, it's a passage to transformation. Within an instant, the congregation burst forth, laughter and joyful shouts intertwining with the sound of pounding rain. Bodies swayed, arms lifted high in exaltation, as each person joined in the dance, a celebration of their collective faith. Ethel, Simon, the worry-laden mother, and every other guest mingled and moved in exuberant unity, tossing aside their burdens, allowing the warmth of fellowship to flow freely. The golden figure watched over them, radiant and approving. See? You have tapped into something powerful. Remember this moment, the courage, the joy. Because when you leave, the world may not immediately reflect this light. You must carry it forth as lighthouses in the storms ahead. And then, even as they twirled in the celebration of faith, Mary felt an undeniable shift within herself. She had come to the chapel so desperate for healing for Jacob, and yet, here she was experiencing a healing of her spirit, a buoying of her hope. She felt no longer like a solitary warrior but rather a cherished part of a community of saints. As the music of their spirits intertwined, the whispers of their prayers danced like leaves carried on the wind. Outside, the rain poured, but they all felt a warmth blooming inside. Suddenly, silence fell over them, as if the entire world paused, waiting with bated breath. The golden figure began to softly glow brighter, illuminating each face with divine energy reflective of their inner glow. There are answers coming, the figure proclaimed. But they will ask of you commitment and connection. Will you share these miracles and revelations with your neighbors far and wide? Will you be vessels of light? Mary nodded fiercely, affirming the truth that settled in her heart. Yes. We will share the light. We will embrace our journey together. In unison, the congregation responded, their joy erupting into a powerful chorus of affirmation. We are your vessels, Lord. We will carry these miracles out into the world. As they pledged their commitment, the golden figure wove closer. Wrapping around them like a cocoon, the essence of divine revelation drawing them in. You are the manifestation of hope for one another. Go forth and teach each soul you encounter the beauty of vulnerability, and the power of united faith. With one final spark of brilliance, the golden figure began to fade, its presence shifting into the collective spirit of the chapel itself. Mary felt the warmth linger, a promise radiating in her being. She looked at the faces around her, their eyes sparkling with renewed faith, tears of joy mingling with the raindrops. As the storm raged on, the congregation stood together, each hardened by their trials yet softened by love, knowing they bore the light of 1,000 miracles within them. They held hands, hearts intertwined, awaiting the divine adventure ahead. And as they stepped outside into the rain, their laughter ringing in the air, a heartbeat of new beginnings awaited them, each drop a promise of transformation. This was the moment, the beginning of all they had prayed for. Let us share these flames of faith. Mary called out, stepping boldly onto the newly paved path ahead, the congregation flanking her and leaping into the embrace of their destiny, one in love, one in faith, one unyielding family. And with that, the sun broke through the clouds, and the world felt stamped anew. All was illuminated by the warmth of hearts turned toward heaven. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. If you've been moved by this story, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about the ending. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us spread the light.